Okay, let's look into some more foolishness. What we're looking at here is a guy who actually calls himself the American Indian Council. I crap you not. The American Indian Council, he calls himself. Clyde Winters, we're not having that. Okay, so let's look into it because he also doesn't agree with Clyde Winters. But I want to let you know up front the reason he doesn't agree with Clyde Winters is because Clyde Winters in this video doesn't say that blacks were Amerindians. In this video, he says blacks were black people. It's also confusing for black people when they get lied to constantly and never told that they were West African primitives, and therefore they never can grasp onto anything but they grasp for lies. Watch this guy do it plainly here as we go.
None of these so-called scholars, because they all dumb niggas, to be honest with you. And I don't care how old they are or how young they are, they all been leading us down the wrong path forever. You know, they done all had us, not pay attention to our family bloodline. They done all had us, separated from each other and shit like that.
Yep, trying to say that, oh, we as Egyptians, we were in the Bible somehow, or maybe we were in the biblical people. You see them stranded on street corners now. It's crazy. We're Moors, all kinds of stuff. It'll all be revealed here by this guy as he tries to destroy Clyde Winters. He actually destroys himself and all the fake Negro beliefs. Let's go.
They didn't cause division. Fuck all of them. Fuck them all. And whenever they get to talking this black shit, oh yeah, we black, we're melanated, and whoop-de-whoop. Nah. You need to check these niggas immediately. No, I'm not black. My skin is not black. No, I belong to the...
Oh, now watch here. He's going to freak out and say he's not black. He's probably somewhere around a chocolate bar color instead. We're not going to call people mahogany to mocha or something. Black people are black people because there's a lot of other people that are as dark as a lot of black people, especially the admixed people that there are nowadays, but still, so we know what we're talking about. You're black people.
This tribe. No, I belong to this nation. That's how you let them niggas know. No, I'm not black. I have a tribe or a nation I belong to.
Now he's going to try to associate himself with Amerindians, and we all very well know that Negroids were not the Amerindians. God, that's disgusting. It's more disgusting than Clyde's attempt right here, but let's go.
Fuck what you talking about.
Right.
But we about to watch a Clyde Winters video.
You go, girl.
Black is the name for melanated people. Today,
now, I have a problem with that. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, too. Man, he's worse than me. I cut inbound people half a sentence sometime, but he can't even let the man get out the first sentence. But, that's black people. If somebody's saying something, he's going to try to interrupt and stuff and not let it go. But let's go.
I have to stop the video. I got a problem with that. How could black be the name for melanated people?
It's what everybody's ended up decided to call them, including yourself. Everybody knows it. Negroids, black people, whatever you're going to call it. Black people. Come on, man. What are you going to do? Contest that or a color?
For one, I question you this. Where did the name melanated people come from? Oh, well, I'm sorry.
You are sorry. Riddle me this, Batman.
Or not melanated people. Where did the name melanated or the term melanated come from? Where did it
come from? Well, let's see. Melanin was something we decided was going in people's skin. Caucasians have that magic adaptable melanin where they can get as dark as admixed Negroids, at least, all the way down. You ought to see how dark I used to get whenever I was playing golf. Hell, look how dark I am now in my forearm. And that's after winter, and I ain't even been out in the sun at all. Oh, I'm Irish. Yeah, that kind of blows things out of the water. But melanated, yeah. And then there are people that are melanated. In other words, they don't do that tanny thing. They're stuck. And it's not just you. It's South India people, which aren't related to you, or Aborigine Australians, which aren't related to you, or Khoisan, which aren't related to you, or East Africans, which aren't related to you, or island people in Fiji and stuff like that, which aren't related to you. And so they all contain this melanated skin that stays in a melanated state. You're probably well aware of this, but you're going to play stupid to try to make some kind of Jive point.
come from? When was it created? That's what I would like to know.
Blacks are ashamed of their dark hue and refuse to identify themselves as blacks.
Hold on, let me replay that.
They even go so refuse to identify themselves as. Today, many blacks are ashamed of their dark hue and refuse to identify themselves as blacks.
Now, I disagree with that.
That's funny because that's just what you've been doing. Let's continue.
Many people, many dark-skinned people are reddish-brown people. They're not ashamed of their skin complexion. You know, so he's trying to make it seem like...
Well, really? Why do they bleach themselves all the damn time? I can show you 100 pictures of famous people that have been bleaching themselves. They got a picture of them last year and this year. We don't need to go there, Sammy Sosa. We don't need to go there, do we? You know, wearing Caucasian mimicking hair hats, getting contacts with colors and stuff that really aren't a natural Negroid thing. Let's continue.
Well, these people are got to be ashamed of their skin complexion because they don't want to be called black. Well, nigga, whose skin is black? Who are you talking about?
Black people. Talking about you and your attitude and the words that just come out your mouth right there. Oh, no one can say my magic word. Let's go.
They even go so far as to claim that no African or Negro group in history ever identified themselves as a black population.
Later we'll see that's untrue by his same words, but let's go.
This causes us to ask the question.
We're going to ask a question. Chop, chop, chop. Come on. Try. Just try.
Did ancient civilizations identify their populations as blacks?
Now, I gotta stop the video. How can a ancient civilization of people, if they're ancient, that means they're older than the word black, right?
Not necessarily, but yeah, if you want to say it's written down, but then the concept of black, or maybe I made a noise like "buh," and that meant black, it probably goes back to when people could start making noises like "buh," or being able to point at a rock and going, look, there's a light rock, there's a dark rock, the dark rock looks like me, this rock is "buh." So, I don't know what you're getting at. You don't either.
So how can an ancient people call themselves black if black is an old English word? And then when we talk about English, American English, which is nothing but a lot of American Indians languages, that pretty much came together.
What did he just say? That English is American Indian languages that are thrown together. That's funny because English predates coming to the Americas or finding out about it, unless we want to go all, the Vikings and shit, or secret Phoenicians I've talked about. And that may be why they do have some. For the Micmacs and a few other cultures, definitely had a language that had words in it that were the same, like water and things like that, which you'll probably mention. But that's not from any Negroid. That's Proto-Indo-European linguistics.
That's all it is. That's all English is. Like, for example, I wish I could show you guys. But for example, in Choctaw, Oka is how you say water. And then in Spanish, agua is how you say water.
That's not even a good close one there, bro. There's a bunch of them more than that. But let's just let him continue and hang himself. Here's some more rope.
Spanish, French, all the motherfuckers, even the Europeans that came over here, they had to learn our languages.
By our, you mean their own language? Because they are Proto-Indo-Europeans that came up with all those languages. And right now, you're speaking white people's languages, Caucasian languages, like the Caucasian Bible that black people aren't a part of. Yeah, sorry to break that one to you too. You might want to grab some tissues. We're not into it quite yet, but in reality, that book was only about Caucasians. It doesn't refer to Amerindians or India or Asiatic Chinese type people or anything. They've got their own religions and stuff, and you're not. You're mimicking someone else's religion, but it's disgusting what you see nowadays. Let's continue.
But to get back to what I was saying, How can an ancient people call themselves a modern word black? They wouldn't know what the fuck.
Well, no, they wouldn't call it black. It would be buh. Or let's go with Negro. That was a word for black. Niger. Niger. If we say ni instead of ni, and we say Niger, that's all that is a northern and southern ni and ni off an I sound. Oh my gosh. Now we're going to outlaw Niger and Niger River. Oh my God. The Black Sea used to be called Niger Sea. Does that mean that it was black people? No. They can use words. These Caucasians that name everything like Africa, and everywhere else, Greeks named a hell lot of things, didn't they? Romans and people, and Caucasian scientists, and Latin is the name for everything. It's lost language, but it connects all those ancient Proto-Indo-Europeans all the way from India, all the way through Ireland. Yeah, people have proven this. Pater and father, and it just goes all the way through. It's simple to see. Who's not involved in any of this is black people.
Black was back then.
Back then.
The answer is an unqualified yes. Melanated African and Negro people have long recognized there was no single hue ascribed to black people. Ancient Saharan art depicts ancient Africans as black, brown, red, and yellow.
Actually, when he shows ancient Saharan art, that's from a video I've just done recently, but a few I've done before. Those are all Proto-Indo-European and Caucasians that are endemic to North Africa since recorded time, and way, way, way before Jebel Irhoud says 315,000 years BC so far, and we're going. In fact, if we just look at East Africa, what is it, 245, 235? And so... No, it's Caucasians, and it's Caucasian wall art and the Green Sahara and stuff that are over there and on the other side too. And he's trying to ascribe that to black people, but it's done in the red ochre and the red ochre symbology. It isn't Negroids on that art. That's way up here close to where you're really not from. And the people that try to tout this are West African primitives who didn't know any of this other part existed, but they want to talk a bunch later when people have figured it all out, and then they get jealous. And they start making up things like, I was an Indian, or we were the Moors, or we were the Egyptians, or we were a part of the Bible somehow through Ham, which if you look up the definition says Caucasians. Yeah, look up Caucasian race definition. It'll show you all the way through the Horn of Africa, all of North Africa. Let's continue. So whenever we talk about Africans, you can't just put it on there. Now we've pretty much done that, which is disgusting for all the North Africans that are there, that are Caucasians. Let's continue.
We gotta replay that.
You go,
The
girl.
bullshit. The bullshit.
Black, brown, red, and yellow. Many black ethnic groups call themselves black. The Syrians refer to themselves as Salmat Kakadi, black.
Salmute, and it means darkened. It meant suntanned, and it meant darkened. It wasn't actually black. And the Meluhites is India. Meluha is India, and the South Indian people, that the North India people are Aryans that came in and helped them to get their crap together way, way in primordial times, and again later, and again with the British. And none of that had to do anything to do with Negroids whatsoever. But they also talked about Kakadi of being black-headed people, and that's to denote the regular people from the color-haired people that apparently were running things a lot, and they had wigs, and they would have black-headed people. Now, when I say red-headed, you're not thinking a person is solid red all over their body, or blonde-headed. So whenever I say black-headed, you're not going to turn it into Negro, but watch them try.
People. The Assyrians called them Elohites, or the people who lived in
Wait, let me stop the video. It says up here, just follow me. Many black ethnic groups called themselves black.
So that's a contrast with what he said earlier, where they didn't. But go.
I would challenge that and say, okay, so what does black mean in Assyrian's language? What does it mean?
Now the problem is that he's trying to say that blacks were never in Africa, that they were only American Indians. He's got this crazy wild idea that slavery was taking them back to Africa out of the American Indians, and somehow I don't know where the Amerindians showed up, but then they showed up somehow, and it wasn't like the smallpox epidemic of the Negroids broke out in the Amerindian population and caused most of the deaths before we ever met them. We're not going to talk about that. And how they captured and sold their own people off. He's going to try to go all, I'm a Pocahantus now.
That's what I like. We put these niggas on the hot seat and tell them, well, what does it mean? The word black should be in their language, right?
It is.
Al-Muti, black. This illustrates that both the Maluhites and Assyrians were blacks.
No, this signifies that the Assyrians were a tan people, and they call the Maluhites, or southern India, black people, even though they're not, and we all know that. Now we're going to talk about the Akkadians and the Sumerians referred to themselves as Sagiga, or black-headed people, but that's not exactly what it translates out to. But yeah, black-headed or black-haired people. When we look at the Sumerian statues, they all have blue impregnated eyes in them. So do the Egyptian earliest statues with crystal eyes that are incredible too. So we're not going to go all yip yip freaky, but they try.
The ancient Akkadians and the Sumerians both referred to themselves as Sagiga, which in Sumerian means black heads or black people.
No, black-headed. It doesn't mean black heads. Although when you go in the Bible, they always want to say a special line. They want to leave it out of there. When Jesus is shown, they go, his hair, oh, he's black. No. Copper or brass in a furnace is white hot. And then also it says his head and his hairs were white. So his head is white. Oh, no. Of course, it's a mythical look at a gigantic statuesque type thing that's coming in Revelations in the first place, but the Bible doesn't have anything to do with black people.
But how?
But how?
Let's go to the word black. But see, we need to understand too.
Here, let me throw this in real quick. Black, you can actually trace back to blanc, and blanc actually means white. You can find that. You can find blanc if you look it up, and its correlations with the word black. That originally there was black and there was white, and it didn't ever refer to Negroids at all. But in here they also refer to black as black, and how that refers to ink and things, and definitely a black. It would be like saying, oh, that's darkened. No, that's black.
Let me see. We want to use the adjective? No, let's use the noun. Since they want to say, they want to keep the wordplay going. Let's use the noun, which pertains to, a person, place, or thing. Old English, Blake. The color black. Also ink. Let me see. Let's go further down. The meaning of a dark-skinned person, African, is from 1620s. Now, the people that he's talking about, when did they exist? This is some homework for y'all.
Tan Caucasians called other people that, and swarthy and things, and blacks see that nowadays, and they're like, well, they were all black. And it's like, no, there was nobility that kept themselves paler. It's kind of a caste system thing going on, and you just can't catch it, because Caucasians can have that magic adaptable, like Hannibal, adaptable melanin that changes and stuff, and they just can't quite cognate the fact that they weren't a part of any of this. In fact, let's just look at this. He's not going to read the part that I'm looking at. The meaning dark-skinned person, African, is from 1620s, perhaps late 13th century. Whoops. A blackamoor is from 1540s, meaning black clothing and not negroids, especially when worn in mourning. And that's from around the 1400s. And that's where that comes from. And Moors aren't black people. If you look up the Moors, you'll see there's a whole bunch of black-haired people or black-headed people, like you see in Islamics today. But ironically, back then you'll see redheads and blondes in them too. That's no longer a contingent for some reason. If you looked into that, maybe you'd understand why, and the fact that Muhammad had a red beard. Well, let's continue.
People that he's calling ancient, when did they exist? You know, because and what part of Africa were they in?
All of North Africa, Central Africa through the Green Sahara, all of East Africa and up through the Horn. The Hofmeyr site down in the Cape actually shows 40,000 years ago Caucasians there. There's a place called Blombos Cave, and it has a whole red ochre setup and everything going on, and it goes to about 100,000 BC. Up in North Morocco, there's 315,000 BC in Jebel Irhoud. But yeah, I don't know how far he wants to go back with it, but yeah.
You know, but also, let me go here too, because that word African, there's a lot of wordplay with that word, and they try to play on people's ignorance.
Yep. Black ignorance try to actually turn around and say, well, if it's from Africa, it must be negroids now. It's amazing. After getting taught in the school that everything above your sub-Saharan Africa is not north, and they go, there's black people there now, and you're like, yeah, there's a lot of things have changed. People in Americas now aren't the people that used to be there, and they weren't black, by the way, in any way, shape, or form. Neither were the Olmecs, too. That's totally been debunked. It's disgusting how they cling on to these things. Let's Black's Law Dictionary by Henry Campbell Black. So I guess we're going to look at a black guy saying black, and his name's Black, so let's see what that says.
Hold on, let me see if I can pull this up for y'all.
Try hard. You got to click
Let
behind
me
it.
see if it's going to pull up.
There.
Okay, that's talking about persons of African nativity. That's not what we want.
Oops, flip-flop.
Oh, wait, hold on, because it do say our members. Oh, no, we could use this.
Hold on. So he's not going to go with the definition unless he can use it. We can use this. We can't use that. No, it's there. African descent, persons of African nativity or African descent within the meaning of the Naturalization Act as amended by Act of July 1870. Kind of a conspicuous dating going on there. Are members of the Negro races of Africa, not in America, of course, and their descendants by intermixture with races constituting free white persons. The Negro races referring to being those from which our emancipated slaves in the United States descend. He's not going to read the end of this, and he's going to go, oh, see, look, he ain't going to talk about them in America because we was Indians. Watch him try.
Okay, this is deep. Now, I want y'all to pay attention to this.
Pay attention to him.
Persons of African nativity, or of African descent, within the meaning of the Naturalization Act, as amended by Act July 14, 1870, are members of the Negro races of Africa,
not Caucasians of Africa, but watch him go, not of America.
Not the Negro races of America, are members of the Negro races of Africa, or their descendants, by intermixture with races constituting free white persons. Man, that's deep.
No, it's not. It's actually shallow as hell, and everybody staring at you right now is like, oh my God, can you believe the mentality?
Deep. So it's not talking about Negro races of America, which...
Yeah, it does. Emancipated slaves in the United States. All you got to do is keep reading, boy.
To be the Indians. But see, when they try to say Negro, they just trying to...
Hold on a second. I messed up where he tried to claim Indians.
America, which will be the Indians. But see, when they try to say Negro...
One more time, listen to this.
Races constituting free white persons. Man, that's deep. That's deep. So,
Stops
he's not
right
talking
there.
about Negro races of America, which will be the Indians.
See?
But see, when they try to say Negro, they just trying to, like I said, it's wordplay. You got to understand what African and what Negro means, because it's
You got to understand what shucking and jiving and lying and being a hateful racist, causing your own racism by your own hand means.
wordplay. But that's not what I wanted y'all to see. But that's very important. Y'all need to remember this.
Remember him doing that to himself.
Agnomen. Here we go.
Agnomen. Nomen is a nomenclature, a name given. Now we have 3 names for people. Back then they didn't. They had your first name and you might tell them where you're from, because there might be a Michael from here and a Michael from there. Let's continue. Oh, watch how telling this is.
This is an agnomen right here. An additional name or title. A nickname. A name or title which a man gets by some action or peculiarity. Oh my God. The last of the 4 names, sometimes given a Roman. The Scipio Africanus, the African. Let me read that again. I'm sorry, y'all, because I'm looking at what Phoenix said.
All hooked up, can't pay attention.
The last of the 4 names, sometimes given a Roman. Thus,
not a Negro.
Scipio Africanus, the African. And from his African victories.
From his African victories, they named all of Africa, Africa, and now Libya is a smaller country. It all used to be called Libya back in the day. And you look at ancient Herodotus's maps, and it shows you they didn't even know sub-Saharan Africa even existed. And it was all called Libya at that time. It also shows that they thought the Nile bent all the way around and went up to the Atlas Mountains that are way over here. And they also draw the Atlantis being there, of course, correlating with the Atlas Mountains. But whenever we talk about Caucasian Africans and how Africa was named after a Caucasian, and it won't be changing anytime soon.
Word, okay. This is in law. This is in a legal dictionary, the real meaning. So when people are saying that they're African, either you're a descendant of Scipio Africanus, the African.
No, that's not what it says. No, and you're not a slave either.
When people are calling themselves just African, they should be giving you the correct name and meanings of African. You see how they try to play you?
Bantu,
they want to say
Congoid. Oh, and yeah, I forgot to mention. You see how it just ends right in the middle of what he's saying? He just goes, oh, and you see what, and it just, boom, it just ends right there. He cuts it off hard.